Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures, rarest coins. Today's episode is all about one of the most iconic and talked about coins in U.S. history, the 1776 to 1976 D Washington quarter dollar. If you've got one lying around in your change jar or inherited from a family collection, you'll definitely want to stick around. Some of these quarters have sold for unbelievable prices, even as high as $1.9 million. So let's explore the history, the key features, and exactly why this coin might be worth a fortune. First, let's rewind to the American bicentennial celebration. In 1976, the United States marked 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To commemorate this historic occasion, the U.S. Mint decided to release special edition coins: the quarter, the half dollar, and the dollar coin, all with unique reverse designs and the dual date 1776 to 1976. These coins were meant to honor the spirit of independence and the founding of the nation, and they quickly became collector favorites. Now, the 1776 to 1976 D quarter is especially intriguing. That D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, which struck hundreds of millions of these coins. But here's the twist: not all of them are created equal. While most of the bicentennial quarters are only worth face value, certain rare examples can fetch sky-high prices, especially those with striking errors, unusual metal compositions, or coins preserved in pristine condition. Let's break it down. On the obverse, you'll see the familiar profile of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan. What makes it special is the dual date beneath his portrait, 1776 to 1976. Which symbolizes America's 200 years of independence. On the reverse side, instead of the traditional eagle, you'll find a patriotic image of a colonial drummer facing left, with a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars, one for each original colony. This unique design was created by Jack L. Ahr and stands out as one of the most memorable in American coinage. Now, what makes a 1776-1976 D quarter worth serious money? It comes down to several factors. First, condition is king. Coins graded in mint state 67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are rare and can command large sums. A pristine example with a sharp strike, original luster, and no contact marks could easily be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Next, you have to watch out for mint errors. These are the coins that collectors go absolutely crazy for. Examples include double strikes, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and coins struck using proof dies on circulation coins. One such dramatic error sold for over $1.9 million at a private auction. It featured a double die reverse and an extremely rare off-metal strike, meaning the coin was struck on a silver planchet instead of the typical copper-nickel clad. Combine that with a near-perfect grade, and it becomes a numismatic dream come true. Another critical factor is the coin's metal composition. While most 1776 to 1976 quarters are copper-nickel clad, a small number were made in 40% silver. These silver quarters were issued in special collector sets, not released into regular circulation. So if you have a 1976 D quarter that appears slightly different in weight or color, it's worth testing. It just might be silver, and that adds significant value. Rarity, condition, errors, and silver content. All of these come together to determine a coin's value. And when a coin has the right mix of those factors, it can go from pocket change to millionaire status. That's exactly what happened with the now famous $1.9 million 1976 D bicentennial quarter. The coin was certified as an extraordinary error, featured an immaculate strike, and was one of the finest known examples in existence. Now, let me give you some tips if you want to hunt down one of these treasures. First, check your pocket change, coin rolls from the bank, and old family collections. Look closely at the date and mint mark. Examine the coin for any signs of doubling, unusual weight, or off-center designs. If something looks off or extraordinary, it's worth having the coin professionally graded. Even a $25 grading fee can unlock thousands or even millions in hidden value. In conclusion, the 1776-1976 D Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It's a piece of American history, a tribute to our nation's independence, and a potential jackpot for lucky collectors. While most are common, the rarest examples, especially with dramatic errors and flawless conditions, have already sold for unbelievable amounts, including one that fetched an astounding $1.90 million. So next time you come across one of these quarters, don't dismiss it. You could be holding one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more hidden coin treasures, and leave a comment below if you've ever found a bicentennial quarter in your collection. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting. Welcome back to the channel where we unlock the secrets of coins that could be hiding in your pocket or coin jar right now. Today's episode is all about a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but could actually be worth a life-changing amount of money. We're talking about the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin that most people overlook but has been known to fetch jaw-dropping prices, including one that reportedly sold for an incredible $1.8 million. If you've ever come across a 1965 quarter, this is the video you need to watch until the very end. Let's begin with the history. The year 1965 marked a huge turning point in American coinage. Prior to this year, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage, the U.S. Mint made the bold decision to change the metal composition. Starting in 1965, quarters were no longer struck in silver. Instead, they were minted using a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, what we now know as the clad composition. Because of this shift, 1965 quarters were the first in the new clad series. The government even removed mint marks from quarters between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding and prevent collectors from targeting specific coins. But despite being mass-produced, not all 1965 quarters are created equal. Some rare examples have surfaced that defy the odds, and those are the ones that command massive prices at auction. So how does a coin from 1965, a coin that millions of Americans used in everyday transactions, become worth over $1.8 million? It comes down to a few key factors: mint errors, wrong metal planchets, extremely high grades, and historical rarity. Let's talk about the most famous type of error. The 1965 quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet. When the mint was transitioning from silver to clad, a small number of silver planchets accidentally got mixed in with the new ones. These rare off-metal errors are incredibly valuable. A 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet is heavier than the standard clad version and has a different ring when dropped. If you find one of these, you're looking at a coin worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on condition. But there's one particular specimen that stands above them all. It's a 1965 quarter that was not only struck on a silver planchet, but also preserved in nearly perfect condition with a certified mint state grade. Add to that a dramatic strike error, and this one-of-a-kind piece made headlines when it reportedly sold at auction for a staggering $1.8 million. Collectors went wild over it, and for good reason. This was a once-in-a-lifetime find, a true anomaly that combined rarity, history, and pristine condition into one incredible coin. Now let's talk about high-grade coins. Most 1965 quarters have been heavily circulated, meaning they're scratched, worn, or faded. But a few have survived in near-flawless condition. Coins that grade mint state 67 or higher are extremely rare, and some have sold for thousands of dollars simply because of their immaculate surfaces, strong strikes, and bright luster. The rarer the grade, the higher the price. Another thing to look for is full details, what collectors call full strike or full drum lines on the reverse. If the coin has crisp, complete details, particularly in the shield and drum lines of the eagle on the back, that's a sign of a strong strike and increases its value significantly. So, what should you be looking for in your change or collection? Start by checking the weight. A standard clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But if your coin weighs around 6.25 grams, you might be holding a silver planchet error. You can also look for unusual toning, doubling in the letters and numbers, or any signs of misalignment or off-center strikes. If anything seems out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to have it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. It's a small investment that could turn a pocket change find into a once-in-a-lifetime payday. So what does this mean for you? The 1965 Washington quarter is a coin that most people ignore. It's not flashy, and it doesn't look rare. But hiding among the millions are a few treasures: silver planchet errors, perfect condition specimens, and strike anomalies that could be worth a fortune. The story of the $1.8 million 1965 quarter proves that even the most unassuming coin can be a millionaire's dream. Before you toss that quarter into a vending machine, take a second look. It could be your ticket to financial freedom. Like this video if you learned something new today. Subscribe to the channel for more rare coin stories and collecting tips. And let us know in the comments if you've ever come across a 1965 quarter that looked a little different. Who knows? You might be the next person to uncover $1 million coin hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching and happy coin hunting. Welcome back to the channel that uncovers hidden treasures you might already have in your pocket. Today, we're turning the spotlight on the 1995 D Washington quarter, a coin that millions of Americans have used in everyday transactions without realizing it might be worth a fortune. That's right, one rare version of this quarter has been reported to have sold for an unbelievable $1.2 million. How is that possible? What makes this coin so special? And how can you tell if the quarter you're holding is worth a life-changing amount of money? Stay with me as we dive into the incredible story, history, and value of the 1995 D Washington quarter. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of the first president of the United States, George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, it became one of the most iconic and long-lasting coin designs in U.S. history. Over the decades, the design went through slight adjustments, but the Washington quarter remained a staple in American coinage. By 1995, the coin had already been in circulation for over 60 years. But that year, something happened that would eventually give rise to one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. The 1995 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small d mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just beside Washington's ponytail. The Mint produced over 1.1 billion of these quarters that year, which means they are incredibly common, or at least, most of them are. But as any serious coin collector knows, what separates a common coin from $1 million rarity comes down to three things: condition, rarity, and errors. Now let's talk about the specific coin that reportedly sold for over $1.2 million. This wasn't just any 1995 D quarter. It was a coin that combined a rare minting error with a flawless, pristine condition. Experts believe this particular specimen was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank piece of metal used to make the coin was intended for a different denomination. This kind of minting error is called an off-metal strike. In this case, the coin was likely struck on a planchet meant for a silver dime or even a foreign coin, giving it an unusual weight and appearance. When combined with a perfect strike and no visible imperfections, this error coin became one of the rarest modern quarters ever seen. The coin received a top-tier grade of MS 70 from a major grading service, a perfect mint state coin, showing no signs of wear, scratches, or handling. A coin like that, with that level of rarity, and in a condition that makes collectors drool, is what helped it fetch a record-breaking price at auction. Let's break this down so you know what to look for. Most 1995 D quarters are worth face value. But if you find one with the following characteristics, your coin might be extremely valuable. First, check the weight. A normal 1995 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it could be an off-metal strike. Second, check for signs of doubling. Some 1995 quarters have doubling in the letters or numbers, particularly in the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." This is known as a double die error and is highly collectible. Also, look closely at the surface of the coin. Is it shiny, clean, and free of scratches or dents? If your coin has a strong, sharp strike and appears to have never been in circulation, it may be a high-grade specimen. These coins, when graded mint state 67 or higher, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on demand and rarity. Now here's where it gets exciting. Even if your coin doesn't have a mint error, if it's in top condition with full details and original luster, it still could be worth serious money. Some high-grade 1995 D quarters have sold for several $1,000s just for their pristine condition alone. But it's the combination of condition and a dramatic error that creates the perfect storm, the kind of storm that leads to million-dollar coin sales. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1995 D quarter? First, protect it. Don't clean it, don't rub it, and don't carry it around in your pocket. Store it safely and consider having it weighed. If it feels off, it's worth getting a second opinion. Next, send it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade will give you the proof you need to get top dollar for your find. And if it turns out to be a rare error coin in high grade, you might be holding a piece of metal that's worth more than a house. The story of the 1995 D Washington quarter is a perfect reminder that modern coins can still carry incredible value. You don't need to dig through ancient collections or inherit a coin from the 1800s. Sometimes, it's the everyday coins, the ones you've seen your whole life, that hold the biggest surprises. So next time you get change at the store, pay close attention. That 1995 D quarter might not be ordinary after all. It could be worth a fortune. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more hidden coin stories, and drop a comment if you've ever found a rare or unusual coin in your change. Until next time, keep your eyes open, check your coins, and happy treasure hunting. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the hidden treasures of everyday pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the world of modern coinage to uncover the mystery and incredible value behind a seemingly common coin, the 1993 D Washington quarter. You may have handled this coin 1,000 times without realizing that one rare version of it is worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. That's right, a coin minted in 1993 at the Denver Mint that's taken the numismatic world by storm. Stay tuned as we walk you through the history, the unique features, the valuable errors, and exactly what makes this coin worth over $1 million. Let's start with the history. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, it became a mainstay of everyday transactions. But in the early 1990s, as technology advanced and demand for coinage increased, the U.S. Mint ramped up production. In 1993, the Denver Mint struck over 600 million Washington quarters. So how could a coin so widely produced become one of the most valuable quarters in existence? It all comes down to rarity and perfection and unexpected minting errors. Most 1993 D quarters are worth only face value. But just like finding a rare diamond among a pile of stones, there are a few examples of this coin that are anything but ordinary. One such example, featuring a combination of an ultra-rare mint error, pristine condition, and full strike details, stunned collectors when it reportedly sold for over $1.3 million at auction. So what makes the 1993 D quarter so special? First, let's look at the obverse. You'll find the familiar profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Below Washington's neck is the D Mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the majestic eagle stands proudly with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. It's a design Americans have grown up with, but sometimes, the smallest variation in these features can mean the difference between 25 cents and $1 million. Now here's where it gets interesting. The $1 million 1993 D quarter wasn't just in mint condition, it was struck with what experts call a dramatic transitional error. Transitional errors happen when a coin is struck using equipment or planchets from the wrong metal composition, typically during a year of material change or machine transition. In this case, the coin was struck on a planchet that should have been used for a different denomination, resulting in the wrong metal, wrong weight, or even wrong size. Combine that with flawless preservation and strong strike quality, and you have a recipe for a record-breaking coin. Another factor is the coin's grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no flaws visible under magnification. The 1993 D quarter that broke records was graded MS 70, mint state perfection. This is incredibly rare, especially for coins from the 1990s, which were not typically saved in pristine condition by the public. To find a 1993 D quarter with absolutely no scratches, no contact marks, perfect luster, and a razor-sharp strike is almost unheard of. That's why collectors went wild, and the price skyrocketed. Let's also not forget about double die errors. A handful of 1993 D quarters have been found with doubling in the inscriptions, such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." These are known as double die obverse errors and can significantly increase a coin's value. When paired with a high grade, this type of error can push values into the tens of thousands, or even more. So what should you be looking for? If you come across a 1993 D Washington quarter, check it closely for doubling in the text or numbers. Examine the surfaces. Does it shine with original mint luster, or is it dull and worn? If it's in excellent condition, weigh it to see if it matches the standard weight of 5.67 grams. If it's heavier or lighter, you might be dealing with an off-metal strike. Use a magnifying glass to check the finer details. Even the smallest mistake can lead to big money. And here's a tip. Get your coin graded by a professional company like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade gives your coin legitimacy and opens the door to serious collectors and auction houses. Many coins that appear average to the untrained eye are revealed to be extremely valuable once professionally examined. The 1993 D. Washington quarter reminds us that even modern coins, often overlooked as common pocket change, can hold astonishing value under the right circumstances. Whether it's a flawless MS 70 grade, a rare transitional error, or a dramatic doubling, this coin proves that million-dollar finds are still possible today. So the next time you get a quarter back in change, don't be so quick to spend it. It just might be worth a fortune. That's all for today's video. If you learned something new or feel inspired to check your change more carefully, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin stories. And if you've ever come across a strange or rare 1993 D quarter, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy coin hunting, where we uncover the hidden value of coins you might already have in your pocket, wallet, or tucked away in an old jar at home. Today's episode focuses on a coin that most people overlook, the 1995 D. Washington quarter. It might seem like an ordinary quarter, but there's one particular version of this coin that has stunned collectors by selling for an unbelievable $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.1 million for a coin that was minted in the mid-90s and may still be floating around in everyday circulation. So how is that possible? What makes this coin so valuable? And how can you find one for yourself? Let's break it all down, step by step. First, let's take a look at the history of the Washington quarter. The series was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The original design by John Flanagan featured a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse and a bold eagle on the reverse. For decades, this design became one of the most iconic and recognizable pieces of American currency. By the time we reached 1995, the Washington quarter had already seen over 6 decades of production and was still going strong. The 1995 D quarter was minted in Denver, Colorado, and features the small d mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 1.1 billion quarters, a staggering number. So how could one of these become so rare and valuable? It comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and one major minting error. Let's start with the basics. The majority of 1995 D quarters are only worth face value. They were mass-produced for everyday use, and most of them are scratched, worn down, and circulated. But there are a few coins that stand out, coins that somehow escape the usual wear and tear and were preserved in perfect condition. These are what collectors call mint state coins. Even more valuable are those with a grade of MS 67 or higher, and at the very top, the incredibly rare MS 70, a perfect coin with absolutely no flaws visible even under magnification. Now let's get to the story of the million-dollar quarter. The legendary 1995 D coin that sold for over $1.1 million was far from ordinary. It wasn't just about condition, it also had a dramatic minting error. Experts believe this particular coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a silver dime or even a foreign coin blank. This off-metal error gave it a different weight and composition than a standard quarter. Combine that with a perfect strike, full detail, and original mint luster, and you have one of the most desirable modern era coins in U.S. history. The coin was certified by a major grading service and authenticated as a one-of-a-kind piece. It received national attention and became the focus of intense bidding at a high-profile auction, eventually selling for over $1.1 million to a private collector who recognized its unique value and rarity. But that's not the only kind of value hiding in 1995 D quarters. Some other examples with less dramatic but still significant errors, like double die obverse, off-center strikes, or coins with die cracks, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In numismatics, even small errors can command big prices when paired with high-grade condition. So, what should you look for if you have a 1995 D quarter? First, check the coin's weight. A standard clad quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter than that, you could be looking at an off-metal strike. Second, Examine the surface. Does it have sharp details, full rim, and unbroken luster? If so, your coin might be in high mint state condition. And third, use a magnifying glass to check for doubling in the letters or numbers, especially in the words "In God We Trust" or the date 1995. Any sign of doubling could increase its value dramatically. If you think you have something special, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value permanently. Instead, place it in a soft holder or coin flip to protect it from damage. Then, send it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade not only protects your coin but also gives it credibility in the eyes of collectors and dealers. The 1995 D Washington quarter is a powerful example of how something so ordinary can become extraordinary. Most people would never think twice about this coin, yet one rare version has changed the life of the person who found it. It's proof that valuable treasures are still out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. So next time you get change at the grocery store, take a closer look. That plain old quarter might not be so plain after all. It might be worth hundreds, thousands, or maybe even $1 million. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin stories, and leave a comment if you've ever found something unusual in your pocket change. You never know, the next $1 million coin could be in your hand right now. Until next time, keep looking, keep learning, and happy treasure hunting. Welcome back to the channel that unlocks the mysteries and hidden fortunes of everyday coins. Today, we're diving into the incredible story behind a coin that many people overlook, but one that has shocked the numismatic world with its value. We're talking about the 1987 D Washington quarter, a coin you've probably seen, spent, or saved without ever imagining that one rare version of it could be worth up to $1.4 million. That's right, a coin minted in Denver in 1987 that has captured the attention of serious collectors and investors alike. So sit back as we take a journey through its history, its design, and the astonishing reason one example of this quarter reached such an extraordinary price. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Its design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse, was created by sculptor John Flanagan. This classic design stayed mostly unchanged for decades and became one of the most familiar coins in America. By 1987, the Washington quarter was still being minted using a copper-nickel-clad composition, a change that had taken place back in 1965 to replace the original 90% silver version, now the 1987. D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark on the obverse of the coin. That year, over 655 million quarters were minted in Denver, making the 1987 D a common coin, or so it seems. But what makes this coin so fascinating is that among those hundreds of millions, a few rare errors and exceptional condition examples have turned up that are now considered priceless by collectors. Let's explore the history that led to this coin's potential. In the late 1980s, the U.S. Mint was modernizing its equipment and improving quality control processes. But even with more advanced technology, mistakes still happened, and some of those mistakes resulted in mint errors that are now worth serious money. Combine a rare error with a coin in near-perfect condition, and suddenly what looks like an ordinary quarter becomes a numismatic superstar. The 1987 D quarter that reportedly sold for over $1.4 million wasn't just rare. It was a perfect storm of factors. First, it had an incredible minting error. Experts believe this specific coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a nickel or a foreign coin, which gave it a unique weight and metallic composition. Second, it was preserved in flawless condition. Graded MS 70, the highest grade possible, the coin had no visible flaws even under magnification. That level of perfection is nearly impossible to achieve, especially for coins minted for circulation. Now, let's talk about the types of errors that can make a 1987 D quarter valuable. Look out for off-metal errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong type of blank. Also keep an eye out for double die errors, where doubling appears in the inscriptions or date. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the center of the coin. Any of these errors can multiply a coin's value dramatically, especially if it's also in top condition. Let's break down what to look for. A regular 1987 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, that could be a red flag that it was struck on the wrong planchet. Next, examine the surface of the coin. Is it shiny and untouched, or does it show signs of wear and circulation? A coin with no scratches, dents, or discoloration could qualify for a high mint state grade, possibly even MS 67 or above. And that's where serious value begins to climb. You might be wondering, how do these coins end up selling for such incredible amounts? The answer is demand and rarity. Collectors are always on the hunt for one-of-a-kind pieces, coins that combine history, error, beauty, and mystery. The 1987 D quarter that sold for $1.4 million was a perfect storm of all those traits. It was authenticated by a top grading agency, confirmed as a unique error, and recognized as the highest graded example of its kind. When that kind of coin goes to auction, collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay top dollar to own a piece of modern minting history. If you think you might have a valuable 1987 D quarter, here's what you should do. First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Handle it gently by the edges and store it in a soft coin flip or protective case. Then, have it weighed and examined by a coin expert or dealer. If it seems unusual in any way, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even if it doesn't turn out to be a $1 million coin, it might still be worth far more than 25 cents. In conclusion, the 1987 D Washington quarter is a powerful reminder that incredible value can be hiding in plain sight. Whether through a rare mint error, a perfect condition, or both, coins like this prove that treasure can still be found in everyday change. So take a closer look at the quarters you come across. You just might be holding history in your hands. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed today's story, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more coin discoveries and collector tips. Drop a comment below if you've ever come across a strange or perfect-looking 1987 D quarter. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your coins safe, and happy hunting.